Hello, everyone. Welcome to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. This is major winter storm coverage here this afternoon. Welcome, everybody, to my Weather Channel live stream. It does look like we have a big storm system moving in across the country as we head through this week. So, we're going to be breaking down the latest updates from the weather models and what I'm seeing here with information regarding the timing of the system through this week, the latest storm track of where the impacts will be, and then the overall impacts. Will you see heavy snow, a crippling ice storm, or will we see heavy rain and severe weather? We'll be going through all that here in this live stream. So if you guys are just joining me, press that like button down below, everybody, and get this information out to as many people as possible because we definitely have some interesting weather this week. And also hit the subscribe button. That helps to get all this weather information out to as many more people as possible as well, and to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Also hit the notification bell so you get more of these live streams and my videos every single morning at 9 a.m. So without further ado, let's get into the weather here. We're going to first look at the temperatures right now because this is important in determining what we're seeing later on this week. You can see the colder numbers up here to the north. We're actually below zero into northeastern South Dakota here this afternoon, up here towards the Grand Forks area and just northwest of Grand Forks this afternoon. We are at -2 degrees right now. This is Fahrenheit, and this is without the wind chill. Des Moines, Iowa, we're seeing 33 degrees here this afternoon. Over here toward Davenport, Iowa, up here near 33 this afternoon as well. 42 up here into portions just west of Chicago. So definitely seeing those winter-like conditions here. As we move further south, though, down here towards St. Louis, we're actually in the 60-degree mark, nearing 60 in St. Louis. It is 58 this afternoon. Oklahoma City metro area this afternoon, we are actually near, let's see here. We're actually near 70 degrees. And then down here toward Dallas, Fort Worth here, it is very warm. We're approaching 80 this afternoon. So definitely a lot to discuss with this. And why the temperatures are so important is because all of this warm air down to the south is going to start moving northward. And all the cold air from the north is going to start moving southward. And we're going to have a temperature battle zone going on here through this week. And this is very important because this area that I'm going to be highlighting right here is the area of main concern for an ice storm as we go into later on this week. Okay, so we're definitely going to have to be concerned about that as we go on through this week. If you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, do drop them in the live chat. The live chat is open. Again, if you guys have not liked the video, the live stream, press that like button. Let's get all this information out to as many people as possible. Thanks to all the people, all 60 of you for watching here. Definitely much appreciated. So let's get into the weather models here because this is pretty interesting, okay? Let's get into the weather models right now. We're first going to look at the global models, such as the GFS, okay? So this is what we're going to be seeing. This is going to be the latest timing and track of the system. So as we go through this afternoon, we are seeing this system up here across portions of the Northwest, and you can see the GFS is painting some heavy snow up here. So places like Helena, Montana, the Billings area, this stretches up toward the Calgary area into Alberta, Canada, British Columbia. This is all going to be in the form of heavy snowfall up across this region here. So definitely want to be on high alert for that. Going through this evening into the overnight hours, we're going to be watching out for some upper elevation snow across this area, and it will be adding up. You can see the heavier banding here on the GFS in this area here in the northeastern Montana. Those snowfall rates could be over an inch per hour. Meanwhile, down here across the Seattle, Victoria area, Astoria, and then down towards Salem here on the west coast of Washington State and Oregon State here, that's going to be all rain because the warmer air from the Pacific Ocean is going to be moving in across this area as we head through the next couple of hours and then going in to the overnight hours as well. So let's fast forward here now to Tuesday morning because this is getting a little bit more interesting. This is 9 a.m. on Tuesday, and you can see some of the snow on the GFS model is starting out here across the Dakotas from Sioux Falls all the way up toward Bismarck here. Maybe around the Rapid City area here as well. We're going to be talking about some heavier snow trying to move in through that 9 a.m. time frame, okay? This is 9 a.m. on Tuesday morning, and we definitely have to be concerned about some snowfall across this area. So from Bismarck down through Sioux Falls here, and then getting down towards portions of South Dakota, that's going to be our first batch of snow moving into the day on Tuesday. But back off to the west, it's going to be all heavy mountain snow up here across the north central Rockies going into Tuesday morning. So if you're traveling out here, Helena, Billings, down toward the Boise, Idaho area, and even Salt Lake City, definitely want to be on high alert here for some snowy conditions, some snow-covered roads, some icy roads, so do leave plenty of distance between you and the car in front of you as possible. It's going to be slippery out here, especially into those higher elevations going through Tuesday morning. Now as we go through Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening now, this is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday, and I'll zoom it out for you guys just a little bit more to see the scope of the system. We're going to see lots of heavy mountain snow out here and upper elevation snow across the Pacific Northwest getting into Tuesday afternoon. And this is when the storm system, the main push of moisture, starts traveling from northwest to southeast into this area here. And that's when we're going to start to kick off the real organized snowfall going through the day here on Tuesday, tomorrow afternoon. We will have a little bit of piece of this starting to break off and move toward the upper Midwest, but it's not going to be particularly heavy. This does include places like Minneapolis, St. Paul up here, Rochester, Sioux Falls, and then getting down potentially as far south and east as far northwestern Illinois as we get in towards Tuesday afternoon. Some of this down here, though, into northwestern Illinois, and really all of this down here, we might have to watch and wait to see if this does reach the ground initially, because we might have some drier air in place. So some of this might not be reaching the ground. It may be what we call virga, where it's kind of falling out of the cloud but evaporates before it reaches the ground. So we might have to moisten up the atmosphere on the leading edge of the system on Tuesday. But if it does start snowing, we could see snow in Rochester, St. Paul, St. Cloud, Minneapolis up here, Sioux Falls. And then again, places like Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin, the Dubuque area, those are areas we'll watch out for snow Tuesday afternoon around that 3 o'clock time frame. And then as we go into Tuesday night now, this is getting a little bit more interesting here. Tuesday evening, we're going to start to see a little mesoscale band of snowfall try to set up here across the upper Midwest here from the Sioux Falls area over toward Milwaukee. This could drop a couple inches of snow going into Tuesday evening. Again, some of this may not be reaching the ground initially, but this will start to reach the ground at some point once the atmosphere moistens up, and we could probably see more on the line of about 1 to 2 inches worth of snow up here across this area going in towards that Tuesday evening time frame. Okay, so a light shoveling going on into Tuesday evening across these areas. Now again, we back off to the west because all of this energy out here still has yet to move eastward. All of this energy out here has to funnel its way farther to the east, getting in toward the middle of the week. This is just the leading edge of the system here, so there's a couple parts to this system that we do have to worry about. And then as we get farther in towards the event here, this is going in towards the morning hours at 6 a.m. on Wednesday now. This is the middle of the week. This is February 22nd. And you start to see a lot more happening here. And let me kind of show you what I'm talking about. And I'll show you this with a different map later on as well. We got the cold air moving down here from the north and west, okay? So all this cold air is moving farther south and east from the northwest out of southwestern Canada and into the central Rockies and central Plain states. Meanwhile, the warmer air will be traveling from southeast to northwest here across portions of the middle of the country. And that's going to set up a battle zone right in here. And it's going to be battling of the air masses, okay? Well, the cold air went out, well, the warm air went out. It's a little bit unknown right now. There's still a lot of details that do have to become a little more apparent as before we get to this event. Over the next 24 hours or so, we'll have a much clearer picture as to which will win out, because why I say that is because we will have an ice storm somewhere in this zone going through that midweek time frame, especially getting into Wednesday afternoon, evening, and Thursday morning. And whichever air mass wins out will be the difference between where that ice storm sets up, okay? So if the warm air, for example, if the warm air does move in faster from the south, and actually moves farther north here across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, the ice storm will be displaced farther up to the north. So areas like Chicago, Des Moines, and even Indianapolis, you guys will all see rain. And then farther to the north, like Green Bay, Milwaukee, La Crosse, Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin, then just north of Detroit, we'll probably see the ice here. But if the cold air winds out from the north and west, that ice storm potential will move farther south. So this would include the Des Moines area, Chicago, Gary, Fort Wayne, Indiana, and then over towards Detroit, and then even over toward the Toledo, Ohio area as well. And that actually would extend farther east towards portions of New York State going through that Wednesday, Thursday timeframe. So it's a little unknown which air mass will win out, but we will get an idea of that right now with the GFS model. This is the newest run that just came out recently, about an hour or so ago. So going through that Wednesday time frame, now this is about noon time frame on Wednesday, and I am very concerned. Like I said, the GFS model has been consistently showing the cold air winning out. So that means that ice storm threat will move farther south. So central Iowa, eastern Iowa, north central Illinois. This does include the Rockford, Chicago area, then up toward Waukegan, and then over towards northern Indiana, southwestern portions of Michigan with the ice storm here. This could add up significantly as well, according to the GFS model, and we definitely have to keep an eye on this. But farther north, the cold air winds out, so we have more snow down into southern Wisconsin, northern Iowa, getting in towards portions of South Dakota, Nebraska here. There could be some heavier snowfall bands as depicted by the GFS model by midday on Wednesday back here towards Sioux Falls, farther to the north as well into South Dakota, and then it's all rain and even severe weather down here across this area. So we definitely have to keep an eye on that going through the day on Wednesday. And then as we go, obviously, into Wednesday evening, that moves farther north. So as the warm air starts to battle its way farther north, we're going to see some warmer air get entrenched into the system from the south here. That ice storm threat is going to be very narrow, guys. So this is very difficult to pinpoint exactly the location of the heaviest ice accumulations here. So do bear with me. The models will have different opinions on this all the way up to the event. So again, this could be up here. It could be down here. It's just a difference of the models and how warm they have the air masses going into the day on Wednesday. But either way, what is a lock in the forecast is the heavy, heavy snowfall up here. We're going to have some incredibly heavy snowfall rates, and I mean incredibly heavy snowfall rates up here across the Minneapolis-St. Paul region, Sioux Falls, getting back into South Dakota here, and even central Wisconsin Wednesday evening. If you are traveling anywhere up in South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota here, northern Iowa, getting through Wisconsin, much of Michigan, and even down here towards Chicago, on Wednesday evening in Detroit, you guys really do have to take consideration that travel will be almost impossible in some of these areas. We're talking about 1 to 3 inch per hour snowfall rates in these areas up here, and some very heavy ice underneath that, and of course that line of stronger storms and heavy rain farther to the south here. So we really have to keep an eye on that getting into Wednesday evening. And then by the time we get towards, say, Wednesday night, getting in towards the overnight hours on Thursday, you see the ice doesn't really go anywhere. It sits in the same areas. So that's why I'm concerned about a significant ice storm with this setup as we go through that Wednesday, Thursday time frame. And you do see up to the north, it is still snowing all out here across the Minneapolis-St. Paul region, north central Wisconsin, and then up here across southeastern Canada getting into Thursday morning. And then by the time we get in towards the day on Thursday into Thursday morning, mid-morning here, 9 a.m., we definitely are still seeing the snow flying across northern Wisconsin, and it's moving out from west to east across Minnesota into Wisconsin here. So the UP of Michigan, northern Michigan, some heavy snowfall here, a couple heavy bands of snow back here towards eastern Wisconsin here from Sheboygan down towards the Green Bay area and north of Milwaukee, according to this model, mid-morning on Thursday. So that is something to watch. And then we'll start to move that ice storm threat farther east. So now this includes the Toronto area, Detroit, back toward Albany, New York, Boston. We really have to keep an eye on this going in toward the morning hours on Thursday. We could have some sleet, freezing rain mixing into some of these locations here. And this could be adding up in a big way. Some of these areas could see a 1/4 of an inch of ice as we go in towards that morning hours on Thursday. So let's kind of pinpoint how much snowfall we can expect with this system, let's go down here and show you what you can expect for total snowfall. Again, this will change in the coming days. I will, tell you that, but it does look like a very big bullseye for heavy snow will be down here across eastern South Dakota, south central Minnesota, into western and central Wisconsin. Seems to be the bullseye for the heaviest snow going in through that Thursday time frame, and we'll show you just exactly how heavy this snowfall could be, at least on the model here. We're talking about some very heavy snowfall here, possibly up to over 2 feet, getting into southern and central portions of the Minneapolis area up toward Rochester here. This is pinpointing about 26.5 inches worth of snow. And again, this will change. There could be some areas that locally see up to 30 inches of snow with this system. I am not ruling that out up here, especially into southern, central Minnesota, back into eastern portions of South Dakota here, and then traveling farther east here toward like La Crosse, Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin. We could be talking about some very, very heavy snow in this corridor. So if you have any travel plans in the St. Paul area, Minnesota here, even St. Cloud, Sioux Falls, Rochester, La Crosse up here, Prairie du Chien, you definitely want to have an alternate route or just stay home, because it is definitely going to be almost impossible to travel up in this location. And the snow doesn't stop there. It's still going to be falling through the day on Thursday farther off here towards the east, okay? So this is not going to just stop after we get through Wisconsin here. We're going to see some pretty heavy snow over in Michigan. Just north of Lansing, we could be seeing over a foot of snow. So 12 to 18 inches up here across northern lower Michigan. Definitely a possibility as we go through that Thursday time frame. And then that snow threat actually moves farther east. So places like Toronto and on northward, we could see up to 8 to 10 inches of snow here. And then upstate New England, we're going to be talking about some very heavy snow. Upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, western portions of Maine. Some of these areas could be approaching a foot or more of snowfall as well. So upstate New York, some areas could be approaching 13, 14, 15 inches from this system as we go through that Friday time frame. And again, farther south toward Boston, Albany, New York, even New York City will be very close to that rain and freezing rain line down in this area as we get in towards that Thursday, Friday time frame. So that is something to watch as we get a little bit closer. If you guys are with me here on the live stream, don't forget to press that like button. It's the thumbs up button down below the live stream. It helps to get all of this weather information out to as many people as possible. And trust me, it does help when you do press that like button. So do so down below and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I definitely appreciate it. I will take your questions here in just a few minutes. We're going to look at the ice accumulation potential from the GFS model, because this is significant as well. And looking at this, yeah, we're talking some pretty heavy icing here. We'll zoom this out to show you the zone of ice on the GFS model real quick. And you can see this is the area. Here, I'll circle it with a better color here. This is the area of concern. So if you live in any of these areas circled in the red, so Chicago, up here towards the Milwaukee region, Des Moines, getting into Detroit here, Gary, Indiana, and then on off to the east towards northern Pennsylvania, southern New York State. This does include the Albany, New York area. This is north and east here of Pittsburgh, and then getting up here towards places like Lake Erie. We're going to be talking about some very heavy icing potentially in some of these zones, and I'll zoom it in to show you how much ice this model is showing. Parts of northern Illinois, up toward Rockford, Illinois, we could be up near 1/4 inch of ice according to this model. Northeast Illinois, we could be approaching 1/2 inch of ice now. So this is really getting a little bit more intense. That's going to be weighing down the trees, the power lines out there, and definitely causing at least some scattered power outages across places like northeastern Illinois if this does pan out. Then on over here towards Kalamazoo, another 1/2 inch of ice is possible in these areas as well, from South Bend to Kalamazoo and south of Lansing here on this GFS model. So again, that will weigh down the trees as well. Over towards Detroit, we're talking at least 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of ice getting over toward Detroit, possibly not even ruling out up to 1/4 inch of ice accumulating in the Detroit area as we head in towards that time frame. Farther east here now, we're talking about Syracuse. We're talking about 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of ice in Syracuse. Scranton, Pennsylvania, around a couple hundredths of an inch of ice, and then on up toward Albany, New York, maybe 1/10 of an inch of ice there. So you can see this storm is going to be packing a punch, not only with the snow, but with the ice as well. So we definitely have to be, mindful of this as we go through the week, because ice, it's impossible, guys, to drive on ice. So I want you to be on high alert if you live in this zone that I circle here across the southern Great Lakes and parts of the lower Midwest and northern Ohio Valley, and then parts of New England as well, as we go through that mid to late week time frame. So those travel impacts definitely will be there as we go through that time frame in the week. So you definitely want to be mindful of that. Now let's switch over here to see what the what's going on with the temperatures and precipitation here with the European forecast model, because this is interesting as well. You can see the temperature gradient here from south to north is going to be pretty extreme. Parts of Missouri could be in the 50s and 60s down here, and then northern Missouri could be in the low to mid 30s going into that time frame here. This is actually on Monday here. Let me change this because, okay. Just a moment, guys. Computer's acting up today. There you go. All right, so see, look at the temperature gradient here. And you can see parts of eastern Illinois could be in the 60s, near 70 up here, even in towards the Indianapolis region. But northwestern Illinois, western Illinois into Iowa, look at that sharp cutoff with the temperatures. And yes, this is going to be causing some ice and snow farther off to the north and west. So I definitely want you guys to be well aware of that going through this week. So let's look to see what the NAM model is showing. This is the 18Z NAM model. This is the North American model. And we're going to look at this with the precipitation output as well, because I do want to see where it overlaps with the GFS here this afternoon. So let's move in toward that Wednesday. Let's see how far we can go on the output here. This goes to Friday. So there you go. Tuesday evening, guys, we're talking about heavy snow on the NAM model farther north. It has the heavy snow a little bit farther to the north up here. Again, there are going to be differences between the models until this starts to move on shore here as we go into Tuesday morning. But we're definitely talking about some very heavy snow up here. Again, you don't want to be driving around in that. Very slippery conditions Tuesday evening. And then as we go through the day on Wednesday now, this is noon on Wednesday. And again, it does have a little bit of a difference in the track of the system versus the GFS. The GFS has the ice threat a little farther south. The North American model has a little farther north. So there are differences where the NAM model's up here and the GFS model is down here with the ice. So there's going to be differences with which model wins out and the warmth of the models as well. The NAM model has the warmer air winning out a little farther to the north, so it pushes that ice storm threat farther north as well into places like southern Wisconsin, southern and central lower Michigan, and then over here towards Lake Erie, okay? But the GFS is farther south. So even if you see rain on this model in Chicago, getting over, towards Des Moines and even Detroit, doesn't mean it's going to be just normal rain. We still could see this model fluctuate as we go into the overnight hours. But yes, just look at all the heavy snow back here to the west, guys. From Denver up here across Sioux Falls and the center of the country, it is very, very heavy snow up into this area. So definitely want to be mindful of that going through the middle of this week. So you guys have any questions for me regarding the setup of the storm, the timing, the impacts here, since we talked about that? I did actually want to talk about the severe weather threat. Now, it's not going to be that big of a deal, I don't think, with this system in particular. But let's look at that real quick here because it is worth noting. Let's go to the day 3 outlook here. The Storm Prediction Center is painting a marginal risk of severe weather. You see where the darker green is, and I'll change this around here so you can see a little bit better. There we go. You can see the darker green across these areas here. This includes the Memphis area, Little Rock, getting down toward the DFW Metroplex, Tyler, Texas, Shreveport, Monroe, Louisiana, and just north of Jackson, Mississippi, up towards Tupelo, Mississippi here. This is for at least a marginal threat, a 1 of 5 on the scale. So this is a 1 of 5 for severe weather across this area going through that Wednesday time frame. And the reason why the threat of severe weather is not as potent as past systems is because of what we call lapse rate. We're going to have the instability, we're going to have some shear, but we're not going to have the strong cooling aloft with this system that we usually have seen with past systems. And what I mean by that is naturally as you go up further in the atmosphere, you see colder temperatures. But with this system, it's drawing so much warm air out of the Gulf of Mexico here to the north that we're just going to have those warmer air aloft here in the low to mid levels of the atmosphere, and it will actually limit how tall some of these thunderstorm clouds can get down across portions of the Arklatex region. So that's why there was a slight risk of severe weather in their day 4 and day 5 outlook for the Storm Prediction Center, but they actually downgraded back to a marginal risk on the day 3 because of the lack of lapse rate, or what you call the temperatures aloft cooling as you go up. It's not that cold here with the difference of on the surface to all the way up in the mid levels of the atmosphere. There's some colder air, but it's not potent enough to talk about anything too major. But there still will be chances for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour, some quarter-size hail, maybe a brief couple of tornadoes down here as well, but I think the threat is much lower than what we have seen with past systems these past couple of weeks. So I do want to be mindful of that and be true with you that, yes, this is not looking like a huge tornado outbreak or anything like that, just more of a lower end severe weather threat. Now, could this be upgraded in some spots like Little Rock back into northeast Texas, around Texarkana here, into western and northwestern Mississippi back to a slight risk? Sure, yeah, that could happen, but I don't think this is going to be an all-out tornado outbreak or anything. And to be quite honest with you, a lot of the models really aren't showing this being that big of a deal with how, because the residence time of the severe weather is not going to be that long. We're going to have a brief window here from about noon on Wednesday through about 3 p.m. of severe weather, about a 3 to 4 hour window, and then that's it. We're done with the severe weather across this area. So it's going to be a very narrow zone, and it's going to be a very quick hitting system. So we'll watch that going in towards that time frame. So let me look here to see how far I can go on this new model. Let's see. Okay, so overnight. Let's go in towards Wednesday afternoon. This is Wednesday morning here. Let's start off 5 a.m. Wednesday morning. And again, you see a lot of different crazy colors on here. We'll actually take this off to show you guys the storms moving in. You can see a couple of storms starting to move in across southwestern or southeastern Kansas into western Oklahoma here. These will likely not be severe at 5 a.m. on Wednesday. These will likely be heavy rain producers, maybe some small hail, but I don't think these will be that severe. We probably won't even have any severe warnings, but if we do, they will be down in this area into southwestern Oklahoma. That's where the greater feed of instability will be during that morning time frame, okay? So we have to be mindful of that. Now, going through the middle of the day on Wednesday, we're talking about that 11 a.m. time frame, and look at how quick this system pushes the storms farther east. We're already seeing storms moving across the middle of that marginal risk area here already by a late morning, early afternoon. So we're talking some storms up here towards Springfield, Missouri, Fayetteville, down toward Little Rock, especially the northwestern side of Little Rock, and then tailing its way farther to the south into northeast Texas. And it could include the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex on east there toward I-20. Into eastern and northeast Texas going into that time frame. So you do want to be mindful of that going through the day on Wednesday. And look how brief this is, guys. Like I said, it's not going to be around long, because by the time we get into 2 p.m. on Wednesday, look at that. The severe weather threat is essentially almost over, if not over by this point across this region. So it's going to be from about 10 a.m. So this is the time frame to watch, guys, for severe weather. 10 a.m. back here to the west. And actually, I'll break this down a little further for you guys, okay? So if you live in this area here from southeastern Kansas through central portions of Oklahoma into North Texas, this is going to be more of a 9 a.m. Okay, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. threat, okay, across this region. That is the threat zone back here. Now, as this pushes east, so this area into southern, southwestern Missouri down through northwestern Arkansas and far northwestern portions of Texas, that is going to be more of an 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. type of threat here. So this is around that lunchtime time frame. So that lunchtime traveling could have some severe weather. Then as we get into the mid-afternoon hours, this will be across eastern Arkansas, southwestern or southeastern Missouri here toward the Boot Hill here, and then down into portions of the Arquitects. That'll be from about 1 p.m. till about 3 p.m. in this area. So that is the breakdown of the severe weather. So it's going to be a 2-hour window per region for severe weather. So it's going to be very brief. These storms will move through very quickly, and then you'll be done with the severe weather as we head through that Wednesday afternoon time frame. Because as you see, as we go in towards the evening hours here, this is 7 p.m. Look at that. We're not talking about anything rather than just a couple of sprinkles and showers out here across Tennessee, Kentucky, down into northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, and no severe weather going into Wednesday evening across these areas because the instability will be waning, the sun will be going down, and again, those lapse rates are not strong with this system. As you go up in the atmosphere, there's going to be a large area of warm air aloft, and much more of the upper dynamics will be farther northwest. This system is going to be northwestern dominated. And what I mean by that is that the system's strongest dynamics are actually going to be up here into the Midwest and the Great Lakes with this system. The weaker dynamics are going to be down here into this area. So we're not going to see that get tapped into with the severe weather going through the day on Wednesday. So if that makes sense to you guys, there you go for that explanation. But if you guys are still with me, press that like button if you have not already down below. I see we have 67 likes. Thank you guys so much for pressing that like button. I definitely appreciate it. You guys are an amazing audience. And again, let's try to get over 100 likes here in this live stream. If you guys have not yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button down below as well. You get all of my daily weather forecast updates each and every morning around 9 a.m. and then these live streams as well. Press the notification bell down below as well if you do please. So thank you so much. So let's get to the questions here. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns in the chat, I will be going through those one by one now. So ask your question down below. We're going to have a little bit of a Q&A, kind of a question answer, and I'll be going through some of that and changing the maps here if you guys have specific questions on the storm going through this afternoon and evening here. So if you guys have any questions, drop them down below in the live chat and I will answer as many as I can. If I skip over your question on accident, just ask it again. Don't spam the chat, just ask it again, and I will try to get to as many questions as possible. Max says some areas are talking about winds gusting up to 70 miles per hour. Yes, back here across the northwestern United States and even the southwest here, there are high wind warnings and wind advisories all across this area here. As this moves down from the northwest to the southeast, it's going to be funneling in a lot of momentum. There's going to be a lot of wind energy across this area going in towards especially the Tuesday and into Wednesday time frame. We're going to see a lot of wind energy, and then that will transfer its energy farther north and east into the Midwest by the time we get in towards that Wednesday, Thursday time frame. So yes, very windy out west. There are some higher elevation areas that I was looking at earlier that we're talking about, 70, 80 mile per hour winds or even stronger. Some areas approaching 90 mile per hour winds in those real high elevations there in the Rockies. So definitely very impactful with that as well. Let's see, going through the questions. What's snow totals looking like for Lamar's, Iowa? I'll answer that one, and then I'll get to Douglas Etheridge's question about the ice storm in Chicago potential. So if you guys are with me, I'll answer the question with Ethan real quick, and then I'll get down to Douglas's question about the ice storm in Chicago here after that. So you're talking about the snow totals looking like for Lamar's, Iowa. So let me look at that. I'm not exactly familiar with that area, but I will definitely look right now. I think is it Lamar, Iowa? How do you spell that? I'm not familiar with Iowa, so bear with me here. Lamar's, Iowa. I'm not seeing it on here. Must be a small town. I see Lamar, Colorado. I don't see Iowa though. Where exactly is Lamar, Iowa? Anybody know in the chat? I will try to answer that question as soon as I can. But let me jump down to Douglas's question here. I'm not too familiar with Iowa there, with where some of these smaller towns are. So I do apologize, Ethan. But if you know, give me a consensus of where it is. Like, is it near Omaha? Is it near Des Moines? Is it near Davenport, Quad Cities in eastern Iowa? Give me kind of an approximate location of where that is, and I'll try to answer your question as best as I can. Let's jump down to Douglas's question. Like I mentioned, will Chicago get an ice storm this week? Very good question. I was talking about this earlier, and let's go back to the GFS model here real quick. Actually, I can just do it here. The GFS model is painting probably a worst case scenario for the Chicagoland area getting through that time frame. So let me see. Okay. This is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday here with the GFS model. And you do see I'm going to change it over to the precipitation type so you can see what we're doing here. All right, so you see Chicago is right here, and the ice is very close, at least on the GFS model, across this zone from Chicago to Detroit, back to Cedar Rapids, Des Moines, Iowa here. And Chicago is going to be a very tricky city to forecast for ice. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. Chicago and Rockford, Illinois are going to be extremely tricky, and even Davenport down here as well, because you're going to be right on the line between all rain and possibly over a 1/4 inch of ice, to be quite honest with you. So let's look at what the GFS model is showing for the ice accretion in the northern Illinois here towards Chicago. Yes, in fact, it is showing the GFS model. Again, this is just one model. You don't want to base off, one model of what it could happen. But if this does pan out and the ice threat moves farther south and the colder air wins out and the warmer air stays south of I-80 here in Illinois, then yes, Chicago could start seeing a 1/10 of an inch of ice here by mid-afternoon on Wednesday. Places like Rockford, Illinois could be seeing about a 1/10 of an inch of ice here as well. Then moving in towards that time frame going into Wednesday evening now, we're still seeing freezing rain. And it looks like the northwestern suburbs of Chicago, we could be approaching a 1/4 to 1/2 an inch worth of ice as we get in towards that Wednesday evening time frame, and that actually stretches over toward the Kalamazoo area and South Bend as well. So Chicago proper looks like about a 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of ice going into Wednesday evening. The northwestern suburbs there towards the Highway 20 and I-90 corridor from Rockford to Elgin and those areas up there toward Waukegan, yeah, we could be talking about a 1/2 an inch of ice, and that even a 1/10 of an inch of ice towards Chicago proper could be a big deal, especially during that rush hour Wednesday evening. So you definitely want to be mindful of that there, Douglas. So hopefully that answers your question, Douglas. Yes, some significant icing is possible in Chicago. Now, I do want to mention, though, that this could shift, okay? So this model is showing it here, but this could very well shift farther north into southern Wisconsin with the next model run. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on this. Chicago is a very tricky city as it looks right now. Again, if the warmer air does win out in Chicago from the south, and we're going to, if it all this warmer air moves up from the south into Chicago, we're going to see all rain down in this area here, and that can move up into Chicago, Illinois. But if the colder air wins out from the northwest, then we're going to see more icing and probably even more snow farther south into southern Wisconsin, and that's where we get concerned about a major ice storm for Chicago, Illinois. So I definitely want to be mindful of that. So let's get to more questions here. Let's see here. How much ice in southern Wisconsin? So Vinny says, Vinny is, that's a great question. Looking at the GFS model here, we're going to stick with this real quick. Let's go all the way through. Okay, let's go through here. Right now, the GFS model is actually hinting at the ice staying south into northern Illinois here and portions of northern Indiana, southwestern lower Michigan, and much of southern Wisconsin is void of any ice going in towards that Wednesday and Thursday time frame. Now, see, I'll keep that circled here because let's go over to the NAM model. This is more of a higher resolution model. And let's look at the ice threat here with this model now, okay? Because this is showing a different opinion, and you can see the icing actually on the NAM model is farther north. Now, this would include portions of southern Wisconsin. So, like I said earlier, there are differences in the models. We have to take note of that. The GFS model is a global model, so it doesn't see those mesoscale details, but there are differences here that I circled. The GFS model is this number 2. Number 1 is the NAM model. So, again, there's a lot of wiggle room here. If you do live anywhere in southern Wisconsin or northern Illinois, particularly near, I think, the highest confidence of ice, I think, with this, to be quite honest with you, is right along the Illinois-Wisconsin state line. So if you live there, like Janesville, Monroe, getting down here toward Kenosha, Wisconsin, Beloit, Platteville, Dubuque, and then on up the Highway 20 corridor here near Rockford, we're going to be talking about that ice threat here in this area, probably more prevalent with both the models kind of overlapping in this area. area. It's a little bit more of a wild card farther south toward I-88 and farther north up here towards the Highway 18 area into central Wisconsin as you get up there towards the Madison area. So that is kind of what we're looking at with this system. So stay tuned to the weather forecast. I'll have another video update in the morning at 9 a.m. and you guys can check that out with more updates on that. Let's get back to Ethan's question here about the Lamar, Iowa area. It's by Sioux City, northwestern Iowa. Okay, so your question earlier was how much snow, I believe. Let's see here. How much snow for the Lamar, Iowa area? So let's go over here. Again, let's go back to the GFS and see what that's painting for snowfall. Let's go all the way to... Okay. Northwestern Iowa, you said near Sioux City? Yeah, you're talking some pretty heavy snow up here, up in this area. Sioux City proper, we're talking about 12, 13 inches is a good bet up into this area. Sioux Falls now, as we get up here, we're approaching 2 feet, so about 20, 24 inches up in this area. And yeah, I'm going to try and zoom in, see if I can find, there's Lamar's, there we go. About 13 inches would be a good bet for you. Again, there is a sharp gradient, I will note, though, for the Lamar's area. So this area here, there's a sharp gradient, sharp cutoff with the snowfall where you go from about 12 to 18 inches near the Lamar's Sioux City area back down to Storm Lake, and then south and east from there toward Fort Dodge. We could be only talking about a couple of inches of snow. So if this wobbles a little bit north or south, this could mean the big difference in the Lamar's area from over a foot of snow to as little as maybe 4 inches of snow. So you will get snow in Lamar's. It just depends on how much we could see here. My bet is the Lamar's area will probably see about probably a good 5 to 8 inches would be a good bet here. But I wouldn't be surprised, if we got a good foot of snow in Lamar. But again, if this wobbles farther south, Lamar, you guys could get closer to 20 inches. If this wobbles a county or two north, you're probably going to be only looking at just a few inches of snow. But either way you slice it, the snow blowers, the plows, and the shovels will definitely be needed up here into northwestern Iowa, getting through that end of the week time frame. Let's get to more questions here. Rain Mave says, weather on the go, will my snow still be here until late April? Well, I'm not exactly sure where you reside in the United States, so I could not answer that question for you, and it's such a long-range question. We're not even into March yet, and you're already asking me about April, so I'm going to disregard that. I apologize. You're welcome, Douglas. You're welcome. Again, you guys have any more questions for me, Douglas or Ethan? Definitely let me know down in the live chat. That's why I'm here, to cover this weather forecast for you guys. Again, keep pressing that like button, guys. We need 7 more people. We're at 93 likes. 7 more people to hit 100. Let's try to get a few hundred likes on this live stream, guys. Let's see if we can do that. You guys are pretty awesome. I know you guys can help me out. Let's get as many people in here as possible, since we're talking about this, to keep everybody out of harm's way. Let's do it. Keep pressing that like button. Stephen Miller, St. Charles, Illinois. I know St. Charles, Illinois is over here towards Chicago. Again, another wild card type of scenario here. The snow is to the north, but then you have the ice storm threat possibly near or over northern Illinois. According to the GFS here, the St. Charles area would probably see anywhere from about a quarter to half inch of ice over here. So you could have anywhere from all rain to a major ice event across northern Illinois, and that is something we definitely have to take note of as we go through that Wednesday and Thursday time frame. So again, St. Charles, that's a very good question. It looks like I would lean more ice. I would lean more ice for St. Charles, but again, some of this warm air from the south could win out, and that could turn. You could start as freezing rain Wednesday morning, and then turn to more rain with liquid precipitation Wednesday afternoon as those 50s and 60s move farther to the north up into this area here. So we'll continue to watch that. All right. Evening. Bia says evening. Thanks for joining, Bia. Vinny says, I'm in Janesville, South Central. So you live in southern Wisconsin, in Janesville? Yeah, if you live in Janesville, I would get ready, get prepared, buy some salt today, tonight, tomorrow. There is probably going to be I would say about a 90% chance that Janesville has an ice storm going in towards that late week time frame. So if you have not yet bought your salt or anything like that, those treatments for those roads, sidewalks, and stuff like that, if you're a plow, if you plow for a living, you want to buy some salt. But if you have, if you're a homeowner and you have salt for your sidewalks, your driveway, stuff like that, definitely want to buy that here this evening and through the day tomorrow. You do not want to be going out on Wednesday. Yeah, I think the Janesville area down toward Beloit and Monroe, Wisconsin will be that kind of ground zero area for possibly up to around a half an inch of ice. So definitely that will be weighing down the tree branches, the power lines, and yeah, we could definitely be talking about some scattered power outages up there into Janesville area. So I would be mindful of that going through the next couple of days. Sonia says, good evening. Thank you so much, Sonia. Southwestern Michigan, Freiling says, yeah, it looks like the Southwestern Michigan is kind of the bullseye for the heaviest ice accumulation. Some of these areas could be up and over a half an inch. I wouldn't be surprised, even though this model shows this, I wouldn't be surprised if we were talking about more of like a 3/4 of an inch of ice in the Kalamazoo area and then down here towards South Bend. We could be talking about a dangerous go of it here for I-94, down here across the Holland area, down to Kalamazoo and South Bend, and then getting over here just south of Lansing and then Ann Arbor. Yeah, we're talking about a dangerous go of it potentially as we go through that I-69 corridor, the I-94 corridor, and then getting down towards South Bend. It's going to be a rough go of it, especially Wednesday evening rush hour and then into Thursday morning commute. So definitely want to plan extra time if you do, and just stay off the roads, guys, because, a half inch of ice is extremely dangerous on the roads. So we definitely want to be noting that here as well. Aviation says around Marshall, Minnesota. So let's look up where Marshall, Minnesota is here. I do believe you're probably in the snow zone for this, I would imagine. Marshall, Minnesota here. Yes, southwestern Minnesota. You are almost pretty much in the bullseye for heavy snow. Let's check that out for you, how much snow you can expect there. The Marshall area, let me zoom in. Looks like Marshall, if the GFS model pans out, you could be closing in on 2 feet of snow. So I think a good 12 to 18 inches worth of snow is a good bet here, with locally up to 2 feet in Marshall, Minnesota. So get your snowblower ready, get your plows ready, your shovels ready. You're going to need them, especially late this week as the cleanup does occur probably during that Friday time frame as that system moves on out. But again, some of these snowfall rates up here into the Marshall area could be impressive. We could be talking about those 1, 2, even up to 3-inch snowfall rates per hour. So it's going to be snowing fairly heavy. It's going to be pouring snow up into this area going into late this week. So it's going to be very heavy. And then again, there could be some places closing in on 30 inches. Like I said, at least if this model is correct, up across portions of southern Minnesota here, near the Twin Cities, down toward Rochester and south of Marshall. Yeah, some of these areas could be closing in here on about 3 feet of snow. So this could be pretty impressive system as we go in towards the end of this week. Edwin says Marshall, Minnesota snowfall. Yes, about 12 to 18 inches is a good bet. Up to 2 feet in Marshall, Minnesota for your area here. And I'll show you one more time in case you didn't see that. Right now, the GFS is forecasting about 21 inches for your area. But again, 2 feet, not too far off. So we'll continue to watch that. Again, this will change in the next couple of runs. I actually want to see what the 12Z run did show earlier on today from Marshall. Let me go back to the 12Z run. Pretty similar. Marshall still, yeah, about 20 inches of snow is a good bet for Marshall here. The 12Z run is showing it. The 18Z run is showing it. The models are obviously in Z time, so that's what I'm talking about. But yeah, about 20 inches of snow is a good bet there. Double-digit snow for sure in the Marshall area. So get those plows ready. Get the salt ready, the snow blowers, shovels, the whole 9 yards. A major snowstorm is moving in. And this snow will be whipping around as well. Make no mistake about it. It's going to be windy as well. So there's going to be low visibility, not only for the heavier snowfall rates of 1 to 3 inches per hour will be, but also with the heavy winds with this system as we go through that time frame. And let me see if I can look up where the winds are here. I'm not sure if it'll show me. It will not. Okay, well, either way, let's look at the low-level jet with this. So let's look about Wednesday time frame here, the peak of the event. Yeah, Wednesday evening, look at the low-level jet up here across portions of Minnesota. We're going to be talking about some pretty strong winds, 57 miles per hour, just, a couple thousand feet above the surface. Some of this could be mixing down toward the surface here where we live. So I wouldn't be surprised. We could be seeing some pretty strong wind gusts up here around 30, 40 miles per hour or stronger up into southern Minnesota. So this in the Marshall area up here, we could be talking about, 20 inches of snow, but then 40-mile-per-hour winds whipping it around. So there could be some pretty decent snow drifts into these areas. I do think that will be the case as we go farther into that time frame. Let's see here. How about Niagara Falls, New York? Good question. Let's see what happens over here. I'm not exactly sure where, again, Niagara Falls is completely, but I've heard of it. Niagara Falls, New York. We're up here just north of Buffalo. So let's look at that. Let's look at the snowfall for you guys up here. Let's go all the way through the end of the run here of the model. Going into that, okay. All right, so looking here at the Niagara Falls area here up into New York, it does look like we're probably going to be trending. Let me see, I got to go back to that. Let's see if... Just a second, guys. Niagara Falls, New York. Okay, here it is. It's going to be tight gradient here. We could have a few inches of snow. 3 to 5 inches is a decent bet up here into Niagara Falls. However, it's a tight gradient. You just go a few, 50, 100 miles south, and you're out of the snow, really, for the most part. Half an inch to an inch down here and toward the Buffalo region. So we'll continue to monitor that. But now looking at the ice threat, this could be a bigger deal now for the Niagara Falls area. Again, this ice threat could wobble, north or south. So you could be seeing an ice storm up here, or we could be talking about a snowstorm with 5 inches or so of snow up across this region. Okay, so this will wobble. I think sleet is going to be an issue. There's going to be a lot of different precipitation types, I do think, across the Niagara Falls region into New York as we get in towards the middle and late portion of the week. So you're probably going to see snow, you're probably going to see sleet, you're going to see freezing rain, might even see some rain mixing in at times as well. So you're probably going to see a lot of different precipitation types, what we call a wintry mix, into the Niagara Falls, New York area. What is the outlook for the northeastern shore of Lake Erie in Niagara, Ontario? Same thing. I think ice and snow up in these areas. Probably a couple tenths of an inch to up to a quarter inch of ice, and then some heavier snow, probably over 5-6 inches up into that area as well. Hello from Southern Ontario, Canada, Earth Rain says. Well, thank you so much for joining, Earth Rain. Definitely much appreciated. Again, if you guys have not yet pressed that like button, press it down below. Here, the live stream definitely helps to get all this information out to as many people as possible. I know I know everybody hasn't pressed that like button yet, so let's do it, guys. We're up to 118 likes now, so let's try to get up to 200 likes. That's our next goal, guys, within the next few minutes. Let's get more people on here so they can ask their questions, and we will answer more questions as we go through here. Northeastern Iowa, yeah, that's another very tricky spot here. We could be talking about, a couple tenths of an inch of ice back here toward Waterloo, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, up toward Dubuque. Otherwise, we're going to be talking about some heavy snow up in this zone here, okay? We're talking about some heavy snow. So if you live in northeastern Iowa, it just depends. If you live up here towards the Decorah, Iowa area, Mason City, Waterloo, those areas will probably see some heavier snow up in those areas. But farther south in northeastern Iowa, so Dubuque, Makokata, down here toward Anamosa and Cedar Rapids, Iowa area, even Iowa City, probably seeing more of an icing threat for your area as we go through that Wednesday and Thursday time frame. So you definitely want to be on high alert, even in northeastern Iowa as well. And again, that sharp snowfall gradient will be there. So Decorah, Iowa, back to Mason City, we could be seeing a foot or so of snow, but then that sharp cutoff, you go from a foot or so of snow, and then you travel down to Waterloo here, and even Cedar Rapids, and you're probably seeing bare ground with just rain or freezing rain in these areas. So that is the difference we're seeing here. Again, any wobble in the track a couple counties south, and let me show you what I mean by a couple counties south, is that you see this county here that I'm circling, that's about a foot of snow. See, the northern side of this county is around a foot of snow. The southern side, maybe 6 inches. So again, it's going to vary county by county, but if this gets pulled farther south, then sure, Waterloo, you could see more snow. If this gets pulled farther north, then Decorah, Iowa would see less snow and more freezing rain. So again, there's the differences there that we see with this system. Liz Gillespie says, will the city of Toronto be a bust for what, snow or ice? What are you talking about? The Toronto area looks like, at least right now, you're going to be seeing some pretty decent snow. So let's zoom in here to Toronto. Looks like about 8 to 12 inches of snow would be a good bet for Toronto, Ontario, Canada here. So if you live downtown Toronto, get the snow blowers ready. Get the shovels and plows ready here as well. 8 to 12 inches of snow. Let's look at the ice threat for Toronto here as well. Looks like, again, on this model, the icing threat is farther south. Here's Toronto, and the icing is farther south. So places like Erie, Pennsylvania, Buffalo, New York, getting over there towards the Utica, Syracuse area, New York, and Rochester, New York as well. And all the heavier ice is farther south. But we turn over now to the NAM model that I was showing earlier, and you can see the icing threat is actually across the Toronto area. So Toronto, again, another tricky city to forecast. If this wobbles farther north, we could see a heavy icing event up here in Toronto. But if it wobbles farther south, just like the GFS model, more colder air, more snowfall in your area. So the ranges are like this. Unfortunately, I don't have, a lot of the fine cut details with the system where it's going to actually track still even, a couple days out. But I can tell you, we could go anywhere from about a tenth to a quarter of an inch of ice here in Toronto to 8 to 12 inches of snow. Those are the scenarios going through this event. But the gist of it is, if you live in Toronto, Canada here, you're going to see a major winter storm, whether it's a major ice storm, a little bit of ice, a little bit of snow, or all snow. It's going to be a major event for your area, so I would buckle up and get ready for that by the time we get into the middle of this week. Rain Mave says, one of these years I will have an early spring. Well, I know I will tell you guys this, a little hint at the long range forecast just real quick while we're talking about the storm. If you guys are up across this area I'm circling here, like the Ohio Valley, the Northeast, this is the area that's probably going to see the winter linger on longer this winter. Going into the March, April timeframe, a lot more colder outbreaks will probably move down into this area and more snow with an active storm track. So I know a lot of these places haven't seen snow down here in the Ohio Valley. Things could change. Our fortunes could change even into March. I know we've had some heavier snow events down through these areas in March too, so things could change, but we'll keep an eye on that as we get a little bit farther out. Jason Fox, any update for McCarran, Nevada? McCarran, Nevada. Let's see where that is. McCarran, Nevada. Whoops, I spelled that wrong. I'm not exactly, it's not showing up on here. Oh, here it is. That's a street name. Well, I'm not sure where that is. Is it toward Las Vegas, Jason? I'm not exactly sure where McCarran, Nevada is. It's not showing up on my search bar for the cities up here. Rain Mave says, hopefully things do change. Yeah, we're still going to see an active storm track in early March. And what I'm seeing here, too, I'll zoom this out for you guys. I know this makes no sense, but I'm just going to show you what the actual storm track is. In the red, a lot of these low pressure systems will originate down here. I'll put an L for low pressure. And sometimes we see what we call these Texas hook type of low pressure systems where they develop on the lee side of the Rockies up here. They travel southeast toward the panhandle of Texas, and then they hook their way up toward the Ohio Valley. And if we see that in March, and I know some of the long range models are showing it, again, we're far out, but that would place, and I'll put it in light blue for you guys to see it, that would place the heaviest snowfall farther northwest. So places that haven't seen a lot of snow would start seeing that. Places like Kansas City, Chicago, Des Moines, back over here towards Detroit. If that track did take hold, and we'd have more of the heavy rain and severe weather threat in the yellow shaded color down here, again, probably across the same areas that we have seen it all winter long. And that's climatologically favored going through the early middle of March with the severe weather across this area. Okay, so that's what we're seeing. Or the difference is we could have a low pressure farther south here, say developing into the Panhandle or West Texas here, and then track up farther north. And stronger low pressure systems like to turn farther north, okay? So that would place then, at this point, the heaviest snowfall across these areas that have seen a lot of snow already this winter. So like Minneapolis, St. Paul up here, down into North Platte and Lincoln, Nebraska, Omaha, and these areas down here toward the Denver region. And then that would place the severe weather side and heavy rain side the severe weather side again down here, and then the heavier rainfall threat would be up here across portions of the Ohio Valley and the Northeast, if that track took hold into early March. Or the third option, and probably the most unlikely option, to be quite honest with you, would be if a low pressure system would develop up here into the central plains, and then we would have the low pressure system move up across the upper Midwest very quickly, and then that would keep the snowfall here farther northwest. I don't see that happening in March. I think the low pressure system will be farther south, getting into that time frame. So here's what I'm thinking. The March storm track, if you guys want to know, I'm thinking the main storm track in March, okay? We're talking about the main March storm track will be farther south. So we're going to see more low pressure systems develop here with, I'll put the L there for low pressure, into West Texas. And I think they will travel a little bit farther to the south and toward the northeast. Now, again, another tricky setup here for the I-95 corridor up into this area for heavy snow, but I do think in this area I'm circling in yellow, we'll have a much better opportunity for snow getting into especially the second, third week in March now, potentially. So we'll continue to watch that. Places that haven't seen a lot of snow, that's just what I'm seeing right now. And then that severe weather threat will be farther south here along the coastal regions, getting in towards the middle of March. But we'll keep an eye on it. I'll have more videos coming up, and we'll be talking about that more as we go closer towards that March time frame, okay? We'll be doing just that. Guys, have any more comments, questions, concerns? Drop them down in the live chat. I'm here for you guys, and I am here to answer more questions. So thank you guys so much for joining this evening. Again, much appreciated. If you guys have any more questions out there, keep pressing that like button. Let's get more people in the live stream here. We have 186 people watching. Let's see if we get up to 300 people watching at once. That would be pretty cool. And the only way to do that, press the like button, guys. Keep pressing that like button, the thumbs up down below. Let's get more people in here. Sparks, Nevada, thanks in advance. Jason says, yeah, I'll try Sparks, Nevada. Let's see if that works. Here we go. Yep, Sparks, Nevada. Oh, that's over toward the Reno area. You're going to probably be seeing a lot more rainfall, than anything else. But let's look at the snow. Looks like the Sierra Nevada is going through the next couple of days here, back toward Carson City, into eastern portions of California will be pretty interesting. I'll say that. A couple of these areas, we could be talking about some, we'll be talking about some heavier snow. We could be up over 2 feet potentially in the higher elevations of the Sierras into California, but particularly into the lower elevations into western Nevada around the Sparks area, Reno, Carson City, probably a couple of flurries, if anything. And looking at the rainfall threat from this, let's see if I can put the rainfall on here. Total precipitation. Looks like some rain going into this weekend up across this area here. Reno, Carson City, the Sparks area there. Maybe up to around, let's see here, what's it showing? Maybe around 1/10 of an inch or so of rain, hundredths of an inch, but we're not talking about a lot of rain. Now let's go through, that's with the NAM model. Let's go looking at the GFS here. Let's look at the 12Z GFS for this, and then let's go down total precipitation. This is going into this upcoming weekend, and again, maybe 1/2 an inch of rain, maybe 3/4 of an inch of rain, possibly getting in through this time frame for the Carson City, Reno, Nevada area. But other than that, pretty dry out across this region. But it will be turning wet, I do think, towards early March. So look at these rainfall the GFS is putting out here. Again, this is far out, guys. This is 144 hours. But I just wanted to show you the action is going to be picking up even down toward Los Angeles, Long Beach, Santa Clara, down here toward Bakersfield, Santa Maria, these areas, Las Vegas. It's going to start to get pretty consistently wet across this region, getting in towards the early portion of March, and that actually continues farther to the south towards Tijuana, and then down here towards portions of Flagstaff, Arizona, with more of these troughs. And what I'm seeing here is more of these troughs digging down across the west here off of the Pacific Ocean, and then kind of moving across the country like that. So that's kind of what we're seeing, kind of a parade of troughs and wet weather across the west. Loving it, Jason says. Well, thank you so much. That's good. They need more snow, says Rain Maves. Yes, the Sierra Nevadas definitely need more snow. That is for sure. I definitely agree. Billy says, why do you cut New England out of the forecast? Well, to be honest with you, there's not enough data really for New England. But if you have a specific question about New England, I could definitely answer that here, Billy. So if you have a specific city, we could try and pinpoint for New England. We'll get to that. Otherwise, it's just the data isn't all there. The NAM model doesn't go that far out. The higher resolution models. By tomorrow, though, we'll have more information on the New England region. But right now, not so much. But yeah, we can look at the GFS for New England. And again, the ice threat is farther south here in New England with the GFS. This is all snow up in this area. The I-95 corridor, a bit of a wild card, but again, probably more rain than anything else like we've been seeing all winter. So same story, different day pretty much for the I-95 corridor. Okay, so from New York City, northern New Jersey to Boston, probably going to see more rainfall and some freezing rain. All the heavy snow is going to be up in this region here, if anything. And some of this could actually be ice down in this area. So that's what we're seeing in New England. Hopefully that helps out, Billy. Central Vermont. Yeah, Central Vermont, you're going to see more. Let's go back. Okay, this is the GFS. Central Vermont, we're going to look at the freezing rain accretion. Again, the freezing rain probably is going to be farther to your south here. So this is Central Vermont, New Hampshire here. This will be farther to the south of you, okay? But it looks like the snowfall threat will be there across the Central Vermont region. We could be picking up quite a bit of it as well, okay? So let's look at this. Central portions of Vermont, New Hampshire, some of these areas, 12, 18 inches of snow, definitely not out of the realm of possibilities. So if you live in Central Vermont, Central New Hampshire, get the snow blowers ready, get the shovels ready and stuff like that. The plows, we're going to need them. We're going to need them up in this area. Some heavy snow up in these areas in interior New England for Vermont, New Hampshire, especially central and northern Vermont, New Hampshire, back to New York State. Again, a good swath of 12 to 18 inches of snow there going through late this week into this upcoming weekend. So hopefully that answers your question there, Billy. Definitely much appreciated. Good questions, guys. Dr. Lisa Thompson says, live in the suburbs of Minneapolis. Do you think we'll be under a blizzard warning? Very good question. I do think, let me go to see if I can see the alerts on here. Again, look, we'll first look at the snowfall here in the Minneapolis region because it is looking pretty impressive up here towards Minneapolis. I'm pretty sure that's Minneapolis. I don't know why it's not showing up. Yeah, okay, so yeah, Minneapolis here. It looks like the heaviest snow is going to be pretty far around your area, but 12 to 18 inches is a good bet up here for the entire city, the downtown metro area of Minneapolis. So if you live in this area, definitely get ready for very heavy snow. Again, get the plows ready, get the snow blowers and shovels ready up here. You're going to need them. But concerning your question about a blizzard warning, let's look at the winds here because this is impressive. We're going to look at the low-level jet because this has implications on the wind. Now, going through that Wednesday afternoon time frame, yeah, the low-level jet's screaming just a couple thousand feet up, around 40, 50 miles per hour, and some of this could transfer down to the ground, and we're going to have some 1 to 3 inch per hour snowfall rates. That's per hour, okay? So that is what we're talking about. And yeah, we could be talking about some extremely heavy snow falling, and then you got the 40 to 50 mile per hour winds just a couple thousand feet up, a few thousand feet up. And if some of this gets transferred to the ground, sure, I could see some 30 mile per hour wind gusts in your area. Let's see if I could find the current weather alerts here. Let's shut that off. Current weather alerts. Let's turn on the winter alerts here. Blizzard warning. We'll turn on winter storm warnings. I have to change all this, guys. I know the stuff on here is not right. I haven't had a chance to really look at this yet, so. Winter storm watches, blizzard watches. Just give me a moment, guys. I apologize. I should have done this beforehand. I did not, so I apologize. All right, so let's look up here into this area. Right now for Minneapolis, you are actually under a winter storm warning, it looks like. So if you are in Minneapolis, you're under a winter storm warning. This is for Heavy snow expected. Total snow accumulations of 18 to 22 inches of snow in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So if you live in this area, winds gusting as high as 45 miles per hour. They state that in the winter storm warning. So it doesn't matter, I guess, if you have a blizzard warning, winter storm warning. It's going to be pretty strong winds up here. And it does say travel could be very difficult to impossible. Areas of blowing snow could significantly reduce visibility. The hazardous conditions could impact the morning or evening commute going into Wednesday timeframe. So if you are in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, going into Wednesday timeframe, it's going to get pretty dicey up here. 18 to 22 inches of snow with 45-mile-per-hour wind gusts is not a good time. So I could see this upgraded to possibly a blizzard warning, but they won't issue. The National Weather Services, Lisa, will not upgrade those to blizzard warnings until probably the day of the event. So, or just, a couple hours beforehand. So if they did, it'd probably be Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. Otherwise, a winter storm warning remains intact across this region. Good question. Pomona, California is borderline Los Angeles County and San Bernardino County in California. Thank you so much for letting me know. I live in Pomona, California. We can't wait for more wet weather. Yeah, it looks pretty active out there like I was just showing. Yeah, it looks pretty active, especially into early March, this first couple of weeks of March. I know the Climate Prediction Center is actually forecasting well above average precipitation down in this area here. So that is, here, I'll try to circle it for you guys to see. Down in this area here, I think we're going to see some pretty heavy rain, especially even in the Sierra Nevada. We could be seeing some very heavy snow back in this area as well, going in towards that early March timeframe. So we're still not done with the active weather in California. It's coming back. It's coming back. I promise you. You're definitely welcome, Bob. You're in western Wisconsin? Yeah, western Wisconsin. You guys, depending on where you are, La Crosse, just north of Prairie du Chien here, the La Crosse area, north of Madison, Eau Claire, we're all in these areas of winter storm watch. This is for 6 to 12 inches of snow over the course of 2 days, with some locations seeing amounts in excess of a foot. Winds could gust as high as 40 miles per hour here. Again, travel will be very difficult to impossible, and reductions in the visibility. The hazardous conditions could impact the morning or evening commutes as well going into Wednesday. So if you live in those areas, yes, heed the watches and warnings, even if they're winter storm watches and warnings, because some pretty serious snow is on the way. It's not every day you guys get 6 to 12 inches of snow, or 22 inches of snow up here into Minneapolis, St. Paul. I know you guys see a lot of heavy snow, but not like that all the time. So that's what we'll be watching for. Difficult travel. Carrie Thompson says, do winds die down after Thursday in Minnesota, Wisconsin? So let me take the weather alerts off so we can see this better. Let me shut all those off real quick. You're saying, okay, so do winds die down after Thursday? After Thursday? Yes, we're going to have a lull in the action going into Friday. You can see there's not much showing up here, no colors. That's some good news. So all these areas, and I'll actually use a better color. We'll use white here so you can see it. Up in this area here, there's not really much going on with there's no colors. So probably more of a calmer type of day, or at least with the winds on Friday morning. But again, this will be prime time to be cleaning up the snow out here is Friday morning, because it won't be windy, but you can see the winds starting to move in from the south and west, and that will probably be moving into this area as we get towards Saturday. And let's see if that does occur. Yes, it does. So Saturday, the wind moves back in across this area. Any snowfall that's on the ground there could be blowing around as well. But it does look like it's probably going to be Friday morning, or just throughout the day on Friday. It's going to be the time frame to go clean up the snow. If you don't like snow flying around in your face or anything like that, I know I don't like that. Go and snow blow and shovel and plow and all that stuff on Friday morning after the storm has passed. With the very heavy snow on the ground. Again, take it easy up here, because I know that's a lot of heavy snow. Take breaks when shoveling, all that type of stuff, so you guys don't get overexhausted and overheated and stuff like that. I know even when you're shoveling, you can get overheated wearing those big winter coats and scarves and everything. So definitely take breaks if you guys are shoveling up here in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, or really anywhere up here into the upper Midwest. So the prime time for that would be Friday. I apologize. I'm still, trying to learn some of these cities and my sniffles. I'm getting over a cold still, so unfortunately, I have the lingering effects here with my sinuses, unfortunately, but still trying to get over it. Do I remember 2019 rain, Mabes? Yes, I sure do. Yeah, 2019 was very cold. I know a lot of these areas in 2019 up here were, wind chills were down to 50, 60, 70 below zero. It was very cold. That was actually with a major sudden stratospheric warming event, which if you guys have not watched my video, go back to today's video and a couple days ago's video on my page on YouTube. I was talking about the, major sudden stratospheric warming event and how that transpired up in Siberia and the Arctics in northern Canada. That's actually going to lead to a difference in our weather pattern. Like I said, we're going to have more low pressure systems moving farther south across the southern United States. I'll put the L down here for this, for low pressure, and then you can see that moves up here across this area. That's what I think, because the colder air is going to be moving southward eventually with that polar vortex that did, the disruption event that did happen with that. And again, the last time we had a major disruption or, sudden stratospheric warming event, I do believe, was 2021. And then back in 2019, especially, that was another major one. And that's the one that produced all that really record cold down here into portions of Texas and, Oklahoma. I don't see that this go around, but I do think, you got to think about it this way. The sudden stratospheric warming event that did take place, that's up in the stratosphere. That is the level, the layer above us where we live. We don't live in the stratosphere. We live in the troposphere, so that moves down farther down to our surface, and it takes time to travel from the troposphere down to where we live in the it takes time to go from the stratosphere down to the troposphere with this, and it usually takes about 10 to 14 days to occur. So eventually, some of that cold air is going to be sinking farther to the south. And I'll try to put this on the temperatures here. Let's see. Yeah, see all this cold air up into the north? That eventually, with time, will travel farther south into the United States. But that might not be till the middle of March, okay? So we might have to be waiting. It's a waiting game at this point. But I think March is going to be cold predominantly all the way across the north here. And that's where the winter is going to hang on the longest, that's for sure. We got 145 likes here in the live stream. Let's get to 200 likes, guys. Keep pressing that like button. If you guys are just joining me, if you guys are leaving me, unfortunately, I apologize if my forecast is not up to par with what you think here. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get through everybody's questions. But press that like button, everybody. Press that like button, the thumbs up. It gets more people in the live stream. Definitely much appreciated. Thank you so much. How are we doing in California's Central Valley? It looks like some pretty heavy snow out here and rain out here in Central California. I was just showing that momentarily just a few minutes ago. Heavy snow out here. The Sierra Nevada is going through this weekend. It's going to be absolutely crushed by snowfall. We're talking about, 30, 40, 50 inches of snow down here into the higher elevations. 53 inches down here east of Bakersfield in the higher elevations of the Sierras. Up here just east of Sacramento, we could be talking about 3 feet of snow just going through this upcoming Saturday. And then looking at the total rainfall accumulation, it looks like maybe Los Angeles getting close there. We could be closing in on half a foot of rain. I mean, there's going to be a lot of heavy rain somewhere across this region. Not to say that, Bakersfield or Los Angeles, California will see 6 inches of rain. This is just one model run. But it definitely shows that, yes, we could be seeing that down here as we go through that weekend time frame. So we'll just keep an eye on it as we get closer, and we'll definitely be able to refine the forecast. And again, if you guys don't know, subscribe down below. It's free to subscribe, and you guys are in. You get all of my daily weather forecast updates each and every morning at 9 a.m. I do a forecast video each and every day for you guys, 9 a.m. Central Time. You guys can check it out. It's usually about 15 to 20 minutes long, and I try to cover coast to coast, from the West Coast to the East Coast to southern Canada to even the Gulf Coast of Mexico. And once hurricane season comes around, I forecast for the tropics as well. So, definitely some very good, if you guys like detailed weather breakdowns and a lot of explanation that's, that you guys can understand, subscribe down below and you guys can find that with my videos each and every morning. Definitely a good time. Lots of great weather videos I put out. So check that out for sure. And you can do that by subscribing. Alrighty. Sorry guys, I'm just looking over some of the new weather data is actually coming in right now, and I'm checking this out here on my laptop, and it looks like again it's been pretty consistent. A lot of heavy snow across the northern United States. Again, over those same areas that we've been seeing the past couple of days, a lot of consistency is definitely there. Martin, you're welcome. Thank you for joining, Martin. Thank you so much for joining. Definitely much appreciated. How about Waterford, Michigan? Waterford, Michigan. Let's look up where that is. Waterford, Michigan. That's up there north of northwest of Detroit. Let's see here. Let's look at the snowfall first with this. Up in your area there. It looks like the Waterford area, Waterford Township area here. Probably about 5 to 8 inches of snow could be a decent bet. But again, look at the sharp gradient just south of you. If this wobbles farther north, you're going to be in the no snow zone. If this wobbles farther south, we could see more snow in the Waterford area. So that's northwest of Detroit. Right now, I'm forecasting, or at least the GFS is forecasting, 5 to 8 inches. I do think that's probably likely going in towards that time frame. So we'll keep an eye on that. And again, this could wobble a little bit, but looking at the ice accretion now, we're going to be talking about, again, if this wobbles farther north, if the GFS model verifies, but then wobbles farther north, the Waterford area, and then up toward Flint and Lansing, we could be seeing more, Flint and Lansing, Michigan, we could be seeing more icing. But it looks like the heaviest icing is down here toward Kalamazoo, South Bend. That's over about a half an inch to even possibly 3/4 of an inch of ice. So yeah, it looks like right now snowfall for Waterford and probably 5 to 8 inches is a good bet. So a lot to snow blow, a lot to shovel, plow out there. You get a decent snow there in Waterford. Just one more. Love your channel. Thanks so much. I definitely appreciate it. Thank you for watching my videos if you do and my live streams. Again, thank you so much. Keep in mind 2019 was 3 years ago. Yes, 3 years ago. Still an analog year for sure. Jerry Long, thank you for joining. Cleveland, Ohio, going to get lucky? Question mark. Cleveland, Ohio. Right now, Cleveland, Ohio is not showing anything for ice, but again, all this has to do is wobble just a little bit. Here, I'll use different colors so you can see this. All this has to do is wobble a little bit farther to the south with the icing here that's over Lake Erie here in Cleveland. And you could be going from no ice to possibly up to a 1/4 inch of ice. So you're not out of the woods in Cleveland just yet. I do think there could be some icing up here going through that time frame into Cleveland. So still watch it for an ice storm. I think Cleveland, if I was to be quite honest with you, I think you're leaning more, let's see here. Let's see before I make an official judgment. I think you're leaning more ice to all rain in Cleveland than snow. I think the snow threat will stay farther off to your north in the Cleveland area. So if you were in Cleveland, get the salt ready. I think an ice storm is possible down into your region going through this into the Cleveland area going through this weekend. So mid to late week, we're focusing on the Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday time frame for Cleveland. I think Thursday, Friday will probably be the highest impacts here into the Cleveland area for this winter storm. So it looks like I'm leaning more ice and then all rain down toward the Akron area and farther south here toward Columbus and Dayton, Ohio, Cincinnati. All these areas will be all rain. And it could be some pretty decent rain as well. Let's show that here. Some pretty heavy rain with some of this going through Saturday. Some of these areas around 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch of rain, and I wouldn't even rule out up to an inch of rain across central and southern Ohio here from Dayton, Ohio, to Columbus, Cincinnati, all these areas. We could be seeing 1/2 an inch to an inch of rain through this upcoming weekend from mid to late week. Sonia says, weather on the go is the best. Trust me. Thank you so much, Sonia. Definitely appreciate it. Hey, if you guys, I did not mention this, and you guys don't have to by any means, but if you guys want to donate to the channel, the donation button is down below for the super chats. You guys can do that as well. You guys do not have to donate. I'm not making you guys donate by any means, but I'm just letting you know that if you want to donate to the channel, you guys can do so down below. So there you go. So if you guys were wondering if I had the super chats up, yes, I have them up. But of course, you do not have to donate. I am not wanting you to, but if you would like to, then you can donate down below. Again, keep pressing that like button, everybody. We're getting so close to 200 likes. We're at 161 likes on this live stream. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel and the live stream and videos and everything like that. Definitely much appreciated. Oh, sorry, BM. I did not mean to. If I skipped over your question, if you asked it multiple times, I apologize. What about snow totals for Mason City, Iowa? Mason City, Iowa. I believe Mason City was very close to that sharp cutoff with this. Um, Yeah, Mason City, Iowa. Right now, it's looking like a decent 12 to 18 inches of snow is a good bet around the I-35 corridor here, and then down toward Waterloo. There's going to be a sharp cutoff, though. Like I said before, if you live in Mason City up here, if this wobbles farther south, you're going to start to see more of those 2-foot snowfall totals in Mason City. But if this wobbles farther north, you're going to go into more of that 3 to 6 inch range. So you're still going to get snow either way, I do think, in Mason City, but I think the more significant snow may probably be staying off to your north, at least with 2 feet of snow staying to the north of Mason City, more into the Rochester area, back toward Fairmont and Austin here and Worthington. All these areas into southeastern Minnesota, that's probably more of like what we're going to see for the 2-foot snowfall totals, where these white shaded colors are here. Like Rochester, Minnesota, we'll zoom in here and show you that's probably about 2 feet, 20 to 24 inches up in this area. Winona, getting over here to the Winona area, La Crosse, this about, 18 to 20 inches of snow up in this area. So some very heavy snow getting up into northwestern Wisconsin, Eau Claire. If you live in the Eau Claire area, Chippewa Falls, 17, 18 inches in these areas. So definitely some snowmobiling weather up here. If you guys have the snowmobiles, get ready as well. Lots of snowmobiling going on up here, I do think, as well with this setup. Again, if you guys have any more questions, keep asking the questions down below. The live chat is always open. You guys know that, and definitely appreciate all the great questions. All you guys have great questions here this evening, so definitely appreciate it. Jason says, what's New York look like for snowfall? New York City? Is that what you're talking about, Jason? Let's go over here to New York City. Let's go all the way through Saturday, because I don't know. Okay. New York City, it looks like for New York City, you're going to miss out on the snow, unfortunately, yet again. I know it's the same thing this whole winter. New York City has barely gotten touched by snowfall, and it looks like that will continue with this system, showing nothing. But as you get up farther into upstate New York, yeah, we could start to talk about some heavier snow up here, up toward the Watertown areas, and then the upstate New York, 12 to 18 inches is a good bet. But New York City, yeah, just nothing for rain or for snow. For the freezing rain, we'll have to look at that for New York City itself. Again, the freezing rain looks to stay off here to the north and west of New York City. So that's good news. We don't want any ice, but if that wobbles a little farther south, we may start to get into maybe a thin glaze of ice with this into New York City. Other than that, it's mainly just going to be all rain. And it looks like some pretty decent rain as well. We'll show you that here. New York City, we could be talking about a good half to 3/4 of an inch of rain. So a good half an inch of rain in New York City. Out through Long Island is a good bet here toward the Islip and Riverhead area, Bridgeport, all these areas, Bridgeport, Connecticut, Hartford. A lot of these areas will start to see more of a half to 3/4 of an inch of ice going through this weekend. So that is what we're seeing here. Very close to Ironwood, Michigan, in a snow belt. We get hammered here. Yeah, it looks like you probably will get some more snow. I'm not sure where Ironwood is, though, but Ironwood, Michigan. Yeah, you're going to get some very heavy snow up in the Ironwood area. I know that because that's the UP of Michigan. You guys always get some heavy snow up there. Um, yeah, we're talking 12 to 18 inches in the Ironwood area as well. Still a little bit of a sharp gradient here, but even that, 8 to 10 inches is still a lot of snow. So get ready for about a foot or so of snow up here in the Ironwood area. Definitely likely going through this upcoming weekend. So get the snow blowers ready, the snowmobiles, all that fun stuff. You guys can make some snowmen this weekend. A lot of snowmen probably being built up here across the upper Midwest getting through this weekend, that's for sure. Mimi says, what's forecasted for Brookings, South Dakota? Headed that way tomorrow. Okay, so you're a truck driver. Is that what you are? Okay, so it looks like Brookings, South Dakota. Let me look up to see where that's at here. Yeah, Brookings, South Dakota, you're going to see some heavy snowfall according to the GFS model. Tomorrow it looks clear, but going through late this week, probably 18 inches, 17, 18 inches is a good bet. Going through tomorrow on Tuesday, and I'll actually zoom this out and actually show you the precipitation through that time frame as well. Let's go back to Tuesday here. Actually, I'll use the 18Z run more. Tuesday. 9 a.m. on Tuesday, we'll start to see a wing of precipitation move farther to the east here in towards the Brookings area by Tuesday morning. But I will note that some of this may not be reaching the ground initially because this is what we call virga, and it might be evaporating before it reaches the ground, where it's snowing from the cloud down towards the ground, but before it hits the ground, it evaporates because of the drier air. We're going to have a lot of drier air up in this region before we have the moisture start to move up from the south and west. So initially, this may start as a few flurries and maybe just a couple of snow showers and maybe nothing. I mean, some of these areas that see blue on the radar, you might be looking on the radar on your phone, mobile device, and saying, well, it's showing blue, it's showing snow over my area, but why isn't it snowing? Well, that's the reason. It's called virga. It's the dry air in this system before it moves in, and it has to be overcome by the moist air from the southwest before it starts reaching the ground. So that's what we would be seeing in these areas. Okay, that's 9 a.m. on Tuesday. Now let's go into Tuesday afternoon time frame, and you could start to see by about 6 p.m. Tuesday evening, we'll start to see more snow in this area. And that's when I think we'll start to see the snow start to take over a little more. A couple of inches already by this time frame here, at least with the GFS model, showing probably in the Brookings area by Tuesday evening. Again, if this is correct, about 3 to 5 inches of snow could already be on the ground by this point. And again, some of this might be overdone. This shows about 3 to 4 inches in this area. It might be more like 1 to 3 inches because some of this may not be reaching the ground. So we'll continue to watch out for that. But again, in general, 1 to 3 inches is a good bet. Some locally higher amounts going into Tuesday evening across this region. You're so welcome, Mimi. Chris says Lamar's, Iowa is a little north and east of Sioux City. Yes. Yes, Lamar's, Iowa, you guys are getting ready for a big snow, over a foot of snow probably in your area, but a sharp cutoff here in this zone. So definitely, again, if it wobbles north, more ice, less snow. If it wobbles south and east, more snow, less ice in the Lamar's area. So that's what we're looking at for that. Again, guys, keep pressing that like button. We got 169 likes. Let's try to get to 200 likes or more on this live stream. My goal was actually 500 likes, but let's see if we can do it, guys. Let's see if we can do it. Let's keep pressing that like button, getting more people on here. Definitely appreciate it. I know everybody's that's working today. I know it's President's Day, and some people work today and getting off work and joining the live stream, and other people are getting ready for bed here shortly if they aren't already. So. Mark says, hello, I'm new to the channel. Want to know about St. Paul, Minnesota for this week. Wind and snow. Thanks. Let me know. Thanks so much, first of all, Mark, for being new to the channel. And if you have not yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button down below and like the live streams and everything like that. My videos every day. Definitely much appreciated. But what did you say? St. Paul, Minnesota. Yeah, St. Paul, Minnesota. You guys are going to get absolutely crushed by snowfall here. In that area. You guys are already under a winter storm warning in St. Paul and Minneapolis area for 18 to 22 inches of snow is the expected range going through that time frame. And here I'll show you now that this is what the GFS model is showing. This is just one model run, I will note that. But yeah, 20 to 24, up to 2 feet of snow, definitely possible there in St. Paul. So yeah, snowmobiling weather. You're going to be talking about snow blowers, shovels, plows going around. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of action up here with the heavy snow, and it will be blowing around. It'll be pretty windy as well. The strongest of the winds will be moving through on Wednesday, Thursday. Some of these wind gusts could be well over 40 miles an hour. So definitely be on the lookout for that. We could be talking about easily, 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts in the St. Paul area, even as it's snowing. So we could have 1 to 3 inch per hour snowfall rates, and then it'll be snowing as well. So Chris says, hello, thanks for streaming. Can you look at Colorado and Utah, please? I sure can. Thanks for letting me know about that. Looks like Colorado, yeah, mainly the Denver area. The Denver area proper, like the lower elevations, probably around 3 inches of snow here. On up toward Boulder, we might have half a foot of snow into Boulder, Colorado, up here. And then the higher elevations, of course, we're going to see feet of snow into the higher elevations, 2 to 3 feet into the Rockies as you go up in altitude in Colorado. Concerning Utah, the Salt Lake City area is going to get a lot of snow. Salt Lake City proper and even the lower elevations, we could be talking about some, 12 to 18 inches of snow in that area. So definitely Looking at some heavy snow there, but down toward Heber City, Park City down here, yeah, we're talking 2 to 3 feet of snow, especially in those higher elevations of Utah. So yeah, portions of Colorado, especially western Colorado into Utah here, and really much of the Rocky Mountain West is going to be very heavy snow going through this upcoming weekend. So get ready for that. Thank you so much, Mark says. I just subscribed. God bless. Great channel. Thank you so much, Mark. Definitely much appreciated. Thanks for joining the live stream and liking the, subscribing and liking the videos and, all that stuff. Thank you so much. Definitely appreciated. You're welcome, Chris. You're welcome. Thanks for asking the question. Again, if you guys, point out to me that I haven't covered an area enough, or if you guys want to know about a certain area, such as like the Pacific Northwest, the West Coast, I know that I don't, show that a lot, often. It's not that I don't like the Western United States. It's just because, it naturally a lot more population density across the middle of the country and out east rather than the West. I know Los Angeles is a big city. I know Seattle is a big city. Portland, Oregon, San Francisco, Denver, all these areas are big cities, but more of the population is in the middle of the country and out east. And that's usually where most potent storm systems are anyway, is across the middle of the country. But if you guys have any specific locations, I will be able to talk to you guys about those during that time frame as we get through the live stream here. So if you guys have any specific locations out west, I will be talking about those there as well. Gas up the sleds. Let's ride. Yes, snowmobiling weather. That's for sure. Snowmobiles up across the upper Midwest is going to be a big activity to do, especially this upcoming weekend. So if you guys got a snowmobile, you guys are going to have plenty of snow to ride that snowmobile around this weekend. Missing winter in the Poconos in Pennsylvania. Do you see any travel difficulties for us along the next few days? The Poconos. I don't know if I can see that here or not. Let me see. The Poconos, is that in eastern or southeastern Pennsylvania? It looks like right now the heaviest snow is going to be to your north. We'll look at the icing threat here. If the Poconos are down here, like I think they are into southeastern here, I'll change colors again. Down here into southeastern Pennsylvania, the Poconos, if they're down in this area, you're probably going to miss out on the sleet, freezing rain for the most part, and especially the snow. But I do think there's going to be a lot of rain in this area. We're talking about probably more likely of about, southeastern portions of Pennsylvania near the Poconos. Yeah, we could be talking about half an inch to up to an inch of rain, especially even over an inch of rain up here towards the Pittsburgh area, getting south and east of Pittsburgh there, down the Appalachian chain into West Virginia, Charleston, West Virginia, around an inch of rain. Very heavy rain down here toward the Cumberland Plateau in Tennessee, down towards Knoxville, Crossville. These areas around 2 inches of rain. And then back toward the Nashville area, about an inch and a half of rain here. Paducah, Kentucky, over an inch. Evansville, Indiana, over an inch. Louisville, Kentucky, up over 3/4 of an inch of rain going through this upcoming weekend. So definitely a lot of rain in these areas, especially the lower Ohio Valley on south toward the southeast and the Tennessee Valley. That's where the heaviest rain will be. Hey, J-Boy, thanks for joining. Duluth, Minnesota, please. Sure can. Let's look up here toward Duluth, Minnesota. It's not going to be rain. It'll be snow, I'll tell you that. Yeah, it looks like some decent snow up here toward Duluth, at least if the GFS model is correct. It looks like about 7-8 inches of snow is a good bet up here. So definitely the snow blowers, shovels, and plows, and even snowmobiles will be handy up in this area as well. All the ice will be farther south. But if this wobbles just a little bit farther north, we could be talking about some double-digit totals in Duluth, up to near 10 inches at most, a maximum. But yeah, it looks like a good 5 to 8 inches or so of snow is a good bet up here in Duluth, Minnesota area through this upcoming weekend. J-Boy says, I liked and subscribed. Well, thank you so much. Definitely much appreciated. Thanks, everybody, thanks to all the new subscribers out there. Again, just an appreciation to you guys. Thanks for subscribing to the channel and helping out and growing my page. Again, we're getting close to my goal. I had a goal, and if you guys don't know, My 1 year of being on YouTube is actually March 1st. I started YouTube on March 1st of 2022, and now we're coming up on March 1st of 2023. That is actually my 1 year anniversary of being on YouTube. So if you guys want to support the channel, keep pressing that like button down below. Keep pressing the subscribe button, guys, if you haven't already. Helps to grow my channel, because my goal that I set for myself for March 1st of 2023 was actually 25,000 subscribers, and we're approaching 22,400. So thanks to all the new subscribers out there and everybody supporting the channel. Definitely much appreciated. Couldn't ask for much more than a great audience, and that's exactly what you guys are. So thanks so much. Here, give me one moment, guys. I gotta move my laptop because it just died on me and I gotta charge it. So just one moment, guys. I'll get back to your questions. Sorry about that, guys. I had to put the charger on my laptop because I was looking through your questions, and then all of a sudden the screen went black and it turned off because the battery ran out on it. So I had to charge it. So I'll get back to your questions once I get it back up here. But again, yeah, my 1 year of being on YouTube is coming up, so that's pretty cool. We're almost at 200 likes, guys. We need, what's it say here? 12 more people to like the live stream down below, and we'll be at 200 even likes here this evening. So thank you guys so much. Thank you. Keep pressing that like button. You're welcome, J-Boy. Hello from Saxon, Wisconsin. Is that how you pronounce it? Saxon. Saxon, Wisconsin. Let's see up through the Saxon, Wisconsin area. Yeah, that's far northern Wisconsin. Looks like the Saxon area up here in northern Wisconsin, a good, 6 to 12 inches of snow is a good bet. So if you live in those areas there, up in the Saxon, Wisconsin area, 6 to 12 inches is a good bet up here. It's all snow, all snow. Ironwood as well, the Ironwood area, about 12 to 18 inches. And that will be up into the western UP of Michigan. Rhinelander, Wisconsin, about 12, 13 inches here. The Eau Claire, Wisconsin area, we could be approaching 2 feet, 20 to 22 inches. Winona, 20 to 22 inches. La Crosse, 20 to 22 inches as well. So definitely some heavy snow up in this area for sure. Jordan Matthews, can you look into Central California foothills? We're in Springville, Three Rivers area, 2,500 feet. Wondering how much snow we're going to get. Love the channel. Thanks so much, Jordan. I'm going to look for you just real quick here. You said the Springville, Three Rivers area into California. Let me see if I can look that up here on the search bar. Springville, Three Rivers. Or maybe I could just look up, is it Three Rivers, California? Is that what it is? Is there like there it is, Three Rivers, California. Is that what you're talking about, Three Rivers, California? It looks like the Three Rivers area, you could be expecting about a foot to about 12 to 18 inches of snow there. So definitely some very, up at 2,500 feet up. Probably about 12 to 18 inches is a good bet. So hopefully that answers your question. Yeah, 12 to 18 inches is a good bet. You go up even higher than that, sort of like advanced area, about 14 inches. Oak Grove, now you're getting up here into this area. We're talking about probably about 18 inches or so. Cabin Cove, Pinewood, Red Fir, all these areas toward the top of the elevation of the Sierras. Yeah, we're talking up to 3 feet of snow. And that's just going through the Sunday morning time frame on February 26th. So definitely a lot of areas there. Yeah, Three Rivers, California. It's going to be about 12 to 18 inches of snow, Jordan. You're welcome. Thanks for asking. Great question. Thanks for joining the live stream. Much appreciated. Phil says, congrats on 1 year. Your knowledge goes much longer. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much, Phil. Again, thanks for joining this evening. Much appreciated. James, is this for snow totals for this storm? What about Sheboygan, Wisconsin? Sure can. Let's look up Sheboygan, Wisconsin for you. Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Yeah, Sheboygan, Wisconsin, probably about 12 to probably about a foot of snow is a good bet. 12, 13 inches for you. That's up the I-43 corridor just north of Milwaukee. Down here toward Milwaukee, it's about 8 inches, so about 5 to 8 inches in Milwaukee. And then if the GFS model is right, about 12 to 13 inches here from Sheboygan back westward here along the Highway 23 corridor through Plymouth, Greenbush, and Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. So if you live in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, over here towards Sheboygan, yeah, about 12 to 15 inches of snow. That's what we're seeing. If you guys have any more questions, keep asking your comments, questions, concerns down below. I will be sure to answer as many questions still as I can. I'll be with you guys a little bit longer here this evening. Again, you guys want to support the channel, keep pressing that like button down below, guys. 3 more likes, and we'll be at 200 likes, guys. We're at 197 here on this live stream. So keep pressing that like button, guys. Much appreciated. Let's get more people in here. The more people we get, the better. So we have more people that are watching the system and getting ready and prepared for what they can expect. I won't be showing up for work on Thursday. Wow, I forget where'd you say you were at? Duluth. Yeah, Duluth, Minnesota. Yeah, Duluth, Minnesota, about 5 to 8 inches, it looks like right here. But again, if this wobbles farther south, it's just going to be a couple inches of snow. If it wobbles farther north, yeah, Duluth, you can see up to about 10 inches at most. But yeah, 5 to 8 inches is a good bet for the Duluth area. You're welcome, James. Again, guys, keep asking your questions. Again, looks like we just hit 200 likes. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yeah, we got heavy snow, crippling ice storms. Again, if the GFS model is correct with the ice out here, it's going to be a pretty bad ice storm down here. So if this is correct, this is the area we have to be concerned about. I'll try to circle it with the best of my ability. If you live in here, I'm going to use the yellow color. Color yellow is better. So if you live in this area, and I'll circle it better as well, the GFS is looking at this area here. So if you live anywhere from Lansing to Detroit, Cleveland, back to Fort Wayne, Gary, South Bend, Indiana, the Kalamazoo area, Chicago, Rockford, Illinois, Waukegan, Davenport, Iowa, Cedar Rapids, Des Moines, all these areas want to be on high alert for a major ice storm going through the Thursday, Friday time frame. So this would peak around Wednesday evening in these areas and then move across the Great Lakes, lower Great Lakes at that, in the northern Ohio Valley through the morning and afternoon on Thursday, farther east towards southern Michigan there, including Detroit, northern portions of Indiana, and then towards Cleveland, Ohio, and over Lake Erie by Thursday. Melissa Smith, Northeast Indiana for the next 2 days. The next 2 days? Sure can. Yes, I sure can. I can look at that for you, Melissa. Specifically, are you looking at any city, Melissa, for this? Because if it's Fort Wayne, looking at Fort Wayne, Indiana over the next couple of days, Wednesday is the peak of the event. So if you live anywhere up here from South Bend to Fort Wayne, Auburn, into northeastern portions of Indiana, including the I-69 corridor, Highway 31, Highway 30 from northern portions of Indiana, from Portage, Indiana, back toward Fort Wayne. It's going to be a rough go of it. It looks like some of these areas actually could be averaging around, let me get rid of this real quick, could be averaging around 1/10 of an inch of ice down here in Fort Wayne. Auburn could be up to near 2/10 of an inch. And then South Bend, we could be seeing 1/4 to 1/2 inch of ice possibly up in your area. So if you live in far northeastern Indiana, an ice storm probably is on the way. So we'll continue to watch that. Oh, Saxon, Wisconsin? Yes, Saxon, Wisconsin. Yeah, some pretty heavy snow up there for sure. Yeah, over a foot, it looks like. So get ready for that. Get ready for that. A lot of plowing, a lot of snow blowing and shoveling and everything up there. So get ready for that. Here in northwestern Ohio, make it all go away. Northwestern Ohio. Yeah, northwestern Ohio. Again, that ice storm is possible for the Bowling Green, the Napoleon area up there towards Toledo. And again, even portions there of Cleveland. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, some of these areas up here could be around 1/10 to 1/4 inch of ice. This is northwestern Ohio. So definitely much appreciated for all the likes out there, guys. Thank you. But yeah, northwestern Ohio, that's what we're seeing. Up here toward Bryan, maybe a 1/4 inch of ice. Farther north, maybe 1/2 inch of ice up here toward the I-80, I-90 corridors. Up toward Toledo. Toledo, we could be approaching a 1/4 inch of ice if this verifies on the GFS run. Again, this could wobble farther north, so Toledo would be in more rainfall if this wobbles farther north, or more ice if this wobbles more south and east. So we'll watch this over the next 24 hours for you. I'll have a new video in the morning for you guys. Anything on the coast of Maine happening in the next few days? Good question. Let me look at Maine. On the coast of Maine? So you're talking like Augusta, Portland, Maine, all that stuff? Bangor, Eastport, Bar Harbor, all these areas? Is that what you're talking about? Over the next, what did you say, over the next couple of days? Let's look here at the snowfall. Yeah, like Portland, Maine. We're talking about probably easily 8 to 12 inches of snow down here. The Rockland area, Brunswick, probably more of about a 5 to 8 inch snow event. Bar Harbor, 8 to 10 inches. Goldsboro, 8 inches. Eastport up here to coastal Maine, about 3-4 inches. St. Andrews, about 4 inches. The heaviest amounts will be in western Maine here. So like the Rumford area, about 8 inches. The Bangor, Maine area, about, let's see here. Bangor, Maine, about 6-7 inches there, so about a 5 to 8 inch snow event there. Caribou up into northern Maine, it looks like about 4 or 5 inches. So most of Maine will see the snow. I don't think the ice threat is as prevalent up here in Maine. Yeah, it's farther south, so don't have to worry about any ice up here in Maine or even coastal Maine. It's all snow up into your areas. You know, a few to several inches is possible. Some spots could see locally up to a foot of snow in western Maine, from Portland to Augusta farther north and west, but around Camden, okay. The Camden area? Camden, Maine? Is that what you're talking about? Camden, Maine. I see that now. Okay, yeah, the Camden, Maine area. Let's go. No freezing rain for you. And it looks like about 6 inches of snow is a good bet for the Camden area. So if you live in Camden, about 6 inches of snow is a good bet. So 1/2 foot, maybe 7 inches at most, but some decent snow for you. Sully says, I would rather have snow over ice, and I dislike snow immensely. You can't drive or walk on ice. That is correct. Yeah, that's good advice. Again, yeah, you can't drive or walk on ice. It's tough. It's tough. That's what makes it so much more dangerous again. Snow is one thing, and you get so much snow it's impossible to drive or very difficult to drive. But if you get ice, it is just impossible to drive. So yeah, I agree there. I definitely agree. You're welcome, Lisk. You're welcome. East says, how about Flint, Michigan? Flint, Michigan. Looks like for snowfall on this model, again, this could wobble, but maybe 8 to 12 inches of snow in Flint, Michigan is a good bet. So if you live in Flint, Michigan, about 8 to 12 inches of snow for you. But again, if this wobbles a little farther north, it'll be more ice for Flint, Michigan. If it wobbles farther south, then the Bay City and Saginaw areas could be giving Flint, Michigan some more snow. So we'll see. The ice threat for Michigan, or for the Flint, Michigan area is just south of you. But again, if this wobbles north, we'll see more ice, more of a 1/10, 1/4 of an inch approaching the Lansing and Flint, Michigan areas up here. But it looks like about 8 to 12 inches of snow for the Flint, Michigan area for sure. Yes, they're getting ice and snow. Weather on the Go rocks. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Definitely appreciate it. Keep pressing that like button, everybody. We're at 209 likes. Let's keep getting more likes on this channel. Gets more, or on this live stream. Gets more people involved here, asking questions. Sean says, what about Ottawa? Ottawa, Canada? Is that what you're talking about? No ice for Ottawa, but the snowfall looks like some decent snow up here in Ottawa, Ottawa, Canada. Here looks like about 5-6 inches is a good bet. South of Ottawa here, toward Castleman, Alexandria, Perth, and then the Cornwall area, we could be seeing more of an 8 to 12 inch snow event. But Ottawa itself about 5-6 inches. So about 5 or 6 inches for you. Thanks, Weather on the Go, for going over all our areas here in chat. You're so welcome, Sully. Thanks for joining, and I'll have much more of these. I'll be doing much more live streams during the severe weather season. So if you guys like watching the radar, I have much better radar now that I could use with Radar Omega, so I could look at the warnings and stuff like that. I'll be doing a lot of radar analysis this spring and summer and fall. Whenever severe weather strikes, I'll try, especially on those higher end risk days, like those slight and especially those enhanced, moderate, and high risk days for severe weather. I'll be going live for severe weather coverage on here. So another reason to press the subscribe button, like the video and live stream, and also to hit the notification bell. It's that bell icon down below so you don't miss out on any of my videos, live streams, anything like that. Yeah, that is for sure. That is for sure. Thank you so much. What about how much snow in the Park Falls, Wisconsin area? Park Falls. Park Falls, Wisconsin. Yeah, some heavy snow, about 12, 13 inches for the Park Falls area up here. About 13 inches, is a good bet, over a foot of snow. So, yeah, a lot of snow up here into the Park Falls area. How much snow is expected in the... Oh, I already said that. Yeah, Park Falls, about 12, 13 inches. What about northern Indiana, like Elkhart area? Jason Cooper says. What did you say? The Elkhart area. Elkhart, Indiana. Let's see here. Looks like not any snow. You're not going to see any snow from this system in Elkhart. Let's look at the icing. Looks like a major ice event if this verifies for the Elkhart area. So if this GFS model verifies, it looks like a good 1/4 inch of ice, a good 2/10 to a 1/4 inch of ice is for South Bend, New Carlisle over there toward Elkhart, Middlebury, and then LaGrange, Goshen area as well in Indiana. So yes, some pretty heavy icing across this region. Kalina says, Princeton, Illinois, please. I don't live too far from Princeton. I'm actually about an hour away from Princeton. That's where I live. Princeton, Illinois. It looks like Princeton, Illinois is going to be interesting. It's going to be a very tough line here. You're going to either see all rain or ice. If you see this icing threat like the GFS model is showing, you could see probably more of about a couple hundredths of an inch of ice, which is like a thin glaze. But it's much more of the heavy rain threat now in the Princeton area. So if you live in Princeton, we could be seeing 2 to 3 inches worth of rain in Princeton, Illinois. So it looks like some very heavy rain through the middle of this week. It looks like all rain for you. But if this wobbles a little farther south towards I-80, we could be seeing a thin glaze of ice down in that area there. And I'll actually circle that with a better color. So down here towards the Princeton area and I-80, Ottawa, Illinois, Streeter, LP, down towards LaSalle, Peru, back toward Davenport. Some pretty heavy rain, around 1 to 2 inches for your area there, Kalina. But it looks like the heaviest icing, if I had to draw it on here, if I had to draw it for the icing threat, I think it'll be from Whiteside County, Lee County here in northern LaSalle County in Illinois on northward there for the heaviest icing threat. I think the most significant icing will actually be north of Highway 30 up here towards Macokota, Iowa, to Rockford, Illinois, Ogle, DeKalb counties on north. So Highway 20 corridor up here, we could be seeing a 1/4 to up to 3/4 of an inch of ice. And I wouldn't even be surprised if we had like winter storm warnings and even, ice storm warnings in these areas. So that will be something to watch for Rockford, Illinois. But yeah, the Princeton area, heavy rain. Heavy rain for you. I don't think much ice for you. Do your estimates include lake effect snow? Yes, they do. Stay safe for those who are experiencing or going to experience severe weather from New Jersey. Just a rainy winter here where I am. Yeah, unfortunately, that southeast ridge has been very, very strong across the eastern 2/3 of the country this winter, and has just been so strong to where you see all that warm air and it's just, it's really not favorable for much snow in these areas up here. I mean, a lot of these areas in New Jersey, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Baltimore, Richmond, Virginia, Charleston, Pittsburgh, you guys haven't seen a lot of snow this winter because the southeast ridge starts off here across the south and it migrates northeastward, and then you have all that cold air from the northwest, and by the time it reaches Pittsburgh, the precipitation is already shut off. So that's kind of how the winter's gone. Unfortunately, if you like snow across those areas, I feel for you. And yeah, so that's what we're seeing. Thank you, neighbor, Kalina says. Well, yeah, pretty much. I live up near I-88 here, west of Chicago, so close enough. About an hour, hour and a half away from Princeton. Again, keep pressing that like button, guys. Definitely much appreciated. All right, guys. Well, it's about 7:15. I've been doing the live stream for about 2 hours now. If you guys don't have any more questions for me, I will be probably getting ready to wrap up the live stream. Much appreciated, though. Excuse me. Much appreciated, though. Thanks for everybody joining here this afternoon and evening. It has been lots of fun answering your questions, having an interactive live stream. I have more live streams probably coming up in the near future. This storm, we might have to break out a severe weather live stream if we have severe weather across the south. Right now, it's only a marginal risk for severe storms down here across the deep south, and I'll show you that here right now. I'll actually go back to the main radar here. And again, I'll show you the severe weather threat down here across the south as we get into Wednesday. Again, this is just a marginal risk of severe weather. This does include the Memphis area, Little Rock, getting down towards Shreveport here, Tyler, Texas, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex on east, and Texarkana as well. So if you live in these areas, and this extends over towards Tupelo, Mississippi, Greenville, Monroe, north of Jackson, Mississippi, all these areas, marginal risk for severe weather, a brief window of severe weather. So here, Dallas-Fort Worth, the Texarkana, Shreveport, that's about more of a 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. threat for severe weather. So this will be mid to late morning. Anywhere east of this line toward Little Rock, Memphis, and stuff like that, Tupelo, and on up there towards southeastern Missouri and the marginal risk, that'll be more after 11. So that'll be early to mid-afternoon. It's just a brief window of severe weather. Not a big deal, I don't think. Maybe a few storms that could produce some 60-mile-per-hour winds and some quarter-size hail and stuff like that. Otherwise, just a brief heavy rainfall threat, some lightning with it, and maybe a couple of brief tornadoes, but they will probably not be strong tornadoes, so you don't have to worry about that. Again, the lapse rate across this region, the atmosphere naturally cools aloft. We have a lot of warm air aloft with this setup here. So we still have the warmer air from the Gulf of Mexico up in this region, but the colder air is not as prevalent. The warmer air is going to win out across this region, even aloft. So as we go above our heads, 5,000, 10,000 feet up, it's still going to be pretty warm. So that will hinder the severe weather threat across that region. Snow in Butler, Pennsylvania. I could look at that real quick. Let me go back over to the GFS here. Let's see. Snowfall in Butler, Pennsylvania. Yeah, we're not seeing much snow here in the Butler area. Maybe, let's see. Maybe about an inch of snow at most. Other than that, we're not seeing too much in the way of snow at all. So we're not seeing anything too crazy with that. So yeah, Butler, Pennsylvania, maybe an inch of snow, maybe 2 inches at most, especially north and east of Butler up toward the Toby area and, the Limestone area up to 3.5, 4 inches. But other than that, yeah, south of I-80 there and east of I-79 in Pennsylvania near Butler, probably about an inch of snow at most. Not a big deal. More of a nuisance than anything else. I'm a mile off Lake Superior in Saxon, Wisconsin. Lake effects snow means twice the snow. Yes, correct, sometimes. Stargazer, thanks for joining. I missed your stream. Hope to catch the next one. Thank you for your diligent work, Weather on the Go. Thanks so much. Definitely appreciate it. Again, I'm just wrapping it up, but if you had a question, Stargazer, I'm still here. So if you want to ask your question, feel free to do so down below. I'll be here for just a couple more minutes. Benjamin, thanks, bro, for your forecast. Are accurate and great and well narrated. Thank you so much. I have another video coming out again tomorrow morning, as you well know, around 9 a.m., so be able to check that out. Thank you so much. Again, guys, before you head out, if you guys have not yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button down below. Again, it's free to do, and you get all of my daily weather forecast updates each and every morning at 9 a.m. Also, these live streams as well, and that also helps if you press that notification bell down below as well. So do that, and you guys get all of my content on here, all my weather content. What about Salzburg, Pennsylvania? I can check that out for you real quick. Salzburg, Pennsylvania. Yeah, you're not seeing much of anything. Maybe a dusting of snow at most. Otherwise, it's probably going to be more of an icing threat. Let me look. Yeah, maybe a glaze of ice too. That's about it. Not a lot of precipitation up here. You're welcome, Sean. You're welcome. Thanks for joining. Much appreciated. Again, everybody, thank you so much for joining. Thanks for all the likes out there, all the new subscribers that subscribed to my channel today and before. Thanks to all the new people joining here, the live stream and everything, and the live chat. Definitely much appreciated. That was a lot of fun. If you guys haven't already, hit the like button on the way out. Let's get as many likes as we can. And again, thanks so much. You guys all rock. Again, have a great Wednesday, everybody, or a great Wednesday. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. A great rest of your Monday. And again, I will see you all tomorrow morning with another video. Good night, everybody. Stay safe.